Good afternoon. I'm back again. I actually just did a pre-recorded video that we'll upload at 3 p.m. today. I'm going to have a quick conversation here. I'm going to start out with a quick, serious presentation, and then I'm going to talk about some fun stuff because I want to talk about some fun shit and just have a good time here, right? So um I'm going to I'm gonna just present something here. And I hope this is okay. I hope I don't get in trouble for doing this. I don't think I will. I'm using something that's meant to do something good here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a presentation here. It's something I've been wanting to do. Uh I've got to figure out how I'm doing this, right? Oh shit. I don't know how to do this. Um Here we go. This is it. Share. Okay. So yeah, so I got to figure out the best way to share this. I think this is kind of the better one. Make myself small here, right? And then so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to this and I'm gonna go to the full screen layout. I think that'll make this a little bit easier. Um, Comments. I think somebody's watching this. Wow. How the fuck did that happen? Anyway, welcome. Welcome. I should put up a banner. This is I'm just gonna do this because and here it is. No, this is wrong. My edit didn't work at all. Edit didn't work at all. What the fuck? Okay. All right, here we go. Apparently you gotta press the save button. Here we go. So I'm gonna talk about causes of obesity. So here, this is what is obesity. I've got comments coming in. Hello, everyone. Hello, AR and JJ, Jason, Jacoby or Jacoby TX. Are you calling? You're not calling me a Texan, are you? Although I know a lot of songs about Texas. I even know a song by I think David Allan Coe sings a song where he talks about how he knows how to sing songs about Texas, which is kind of a funny one. Oh, you're talking to AR as in is AR is is that in Arizona? Would that be the thing for Arizona or Arkansas? Or does it stand for something else? I've chatted with AR many times and never thought to say, "Hey, Alpha Romeo, what the fuck? What does that mean?" But perhaps AR will share. So Arizona is AZ. Yes, AZ. Yeah. So well, I don't. You're right. It is AZ. I should know that. I don't mail enough letters to the USA. You're a TX. You're a Tango X-ray. Tango X-ray. I'm what the hell am I? I'm in Oscar November, ON, Ontario. There's a place in what's it called here? I'm getting all these things. Oh, my wife's checking in on me. I had a major leg spasm last night. It was not fun. AR, your initials. Okay, so first name Alpha, last name Romeo. You don't have to share what it is. AR is fine. There's no need to dox yourself more than that. So I'm gonna go to this tab and I'm gonna read through some stuff. Obesity Canada is where this is coming from, and they're an organization that I've done some work with, and I enjoy working with them a great deal. And so I just want to share this. Okay, this is obesity is a chronic disease. It's characterized by the accumulation of excess body fat. They can have a negative impact on our physical, mental, or metabolic health, as well as our overall quality of life. Science has made important advances in understanding what's happening in the body when it comes to weight gain and who is susceptible to it. So I'm just pointing this out. Weight has more to do with genetics in what we are exposed to in the womb than individual choices about exercise or food. And I'm going to say something about that in a minute too. But obesity is brain-related disorder. The hypothalamus regulates energy intake and expenditure to maintain weight. Excuse me. Its normal function can be disrupted by biological and environmental factors. And once disrupted, our feelings of hunger and fullness, satiety, can be affected. So this is important. There's a lot of different things that go on in the brain. And as someone that lives with obesity, I understand this. I've been through this. I've been going through this in the past week. I've had a major uncomfortable feeling in my head about my overall excess adipose tissue. I'm not so concerned about what my weight is on the scales and what my body composition is. So this is something I feel. So there's a whole bunch of things that go on, right? You get told things. You live in an infrastructure. One of the terms we use is living in an obesogenic society or an obesogenic environment. And I've talked about this when I've spoken publicly. I've talked about like what you see when you go to the store, when you go to the I'm going to say like a truck stop or even a gas station. If you go to a modern truck stop today is not like it was when my father was a trucker. When my father was a trucker, you go in and get a hot meal at most truck stops. You would sit down, you would get some rest. There would be pay phones at the tables in the truckers' lounge or at the truckers' side of the restaurant. There was special reserved seating for professional drivers, stuff like that. And it was a little quieter with, and the food was not necessarily super high quality, but they were home cooked meals, and you could get meals that were made of like fairly high quality protein. You could get real vegetables, and you could get real side dishes, things that are out of a very stereotypical meal. But basically, you could get like rice or potatoes, some sort of vegetable, some sort of protein. Those were meals you could get day to day on the road. They were served hot. Usually, the people that worked in the restaurant were friendly and kind, and it was a good environment. It is not like that today. Those types of restaurants are being pushed out, and fast service or quick service restaurants are taking their place. And those always tend to be based on what can they push out the door quickly. The quality of some of the ingredients are decent, more decent in some places than others, less decent as well. And there's a lot of problems with the food served. And if you're grabbing something on the go, it's almost all sweet things or salty things that are highly processed. Those are not good ways to improve your metabolism. So I talk about that in my experience. Other people have similar experiences. I've talked to many people that have spent time living in an office where there's a vending machine. People complain about vending machines if they work in a thing. And okay, yeah. So Jason, JJ, you're saying you still have a few of those truck stops, showers, massage. Yeah, so they exist, but they're not that common. So yeah, no, I can still find a shower on the road if I'm on the road on a longer haul. Like yesterday I didn't drive that many kilometers. I can't even remember how many kilometers I drove, but I worked a 10-hour day basically yesterday and moved 3 machines and was never more than maybe I was an hour and a half away from my base in all of that traveling. Most of the time I spent was loading and unloading with the snow and the ice and all of the equipment frozen. Like it's adding 20 minutes to 45 minutes to every load I do. The unloads are not too far off the usual, but the load ups have been super slow this week with the snow and ice. It just makes everything happen in slow motion. And it's only been -16, -17, but the first load out every day, if I have to make the binders work from a frozen position, they are just not wanting to go. It's miserable too. It's miserable being covered in snow and ice and getting like super. So stay away from soda and breads. It's all sugar. It's easy to drink, too many calories. Yeah, so I drink diet or like no sugar pop, and I have a major problem with it. It's something I'm trying to give up. But I do not drink sugared pop at all. Maybe one, well, I might have one or two in a year. And I have in the last few months, I think basically since November, I've been doing a FODMAP food elimination with a keto bent on it. So I've mostly been good at that. But the last couple of weeks haven't been good, and I realize it's a mental thing. So I'm gonna go back to sharing some of this, but I'm really glad you guys are here and watching along here. So, this genetic thing. So, the more of these genes you have, the more probable it is that you would develop obesity by age 18. Which I developed obesity by the time I was in junior high school. Pretty much. I don't think I was living with obesity prior to like maybe age 11 or 12. But everyone's different. The more of these genes you have, the more probable it is you develop obesity by the age of 18. You have a high number of these genes, your risk for developing severe obesity, having a body mass index of over 40 is 15 times of that without someone without the genes. So it's a very big thing. Now, I just got a genetic test done for fun, and it said that I was not likely to have these genetic markers, which is interesting because a lot of people in my family live with obesity, including my father before he passed. He struggled with obesity his entire uh, adult life, and I think some of his teen life as well. Your 85% of your height is genetic. When it comes to weight, 70 to 80% of your BMI is determined by genes. Now, an interesting thing about this genetic test I did is it said I was unlikely to have the genes for obesity. It also said I would be unlikely to have red hair, which I have on my face anyway. I have red facial hair. I don't have any hair on top of my head. You might have noticed, but it's kind of a, I don't know, it's kind of a reddy blonde color when it comes in. It's starting to get kind of brown. It's kind of changed color actually, I would say, as I've aged, because it was actually really blonde when I was a kid and curly too. But that's I don't know how often that happens because yeah, I had really light hair as a kid. That's probably common. I've never looked up what that is. Anyway, our weight as adults can be predetermined before we're born, and that is true. Um, and and they have also done these studies about like during pregnancy, whether the mother is overweight or living with obesity during pregnancy can affect what happens to the child. So that's something that's predetermined, but not necessarily strictly genetics, right? That's an environment of gestation. Our bodies defend against weight loss. So this is also something that they've determined for most of human history. It's hard for people to get enough to eat. So we evolved to genetically programmed against weight loss in favor of weight regain. Significant weight loss, our hormones change to cause more hunger and less satiety, resulting in increased food intake. This is something that's been an extreme vicious cycle for me. Um, I could show the chart, I guess, of my weight loss and regain. Um, Sunlight will change your hair color as lack of light. Well, I live in Canada, so I mean, I don't know if we have a lack of light exactly, but things are what they are. So I'm gonna look at my thing here. Look at this. I have logged into MyFitnessPal through at least three ownerships of the app. It's been a popular one for a long time. Today is my 2,909th day logging in. And according to this, I don't know if this is quite accurate because I think it might be a little close, but I might have regained some. I haven't weighed myself because I've been feeling so bad about it. It says I've lost over 63 pounds here, but I think it was closer to 70. But maybe that's because it went up again recently. I haven't been paying attention. I've lost weight so many times. It's not. No, I don't want to add a weight. I just want to look at the chart. I want to see. I don't want to add one. I just want to look at this. Oh, here we go. Okay. So I'm going to have to change my screen layout. So I go back to just myself like this. Okay. Is this legible? Fuck, this is weird. Okay. There. Okay. This is for my entire duration of being on MyFitnessPal, which is nearly 8 years now. I think it's like 7.9 something years to over 2,900 days that I've logged in. And it's sometimes I've been recording my weight more frequently than others. I know this is weird with this background thing. Oh shoot, I've just screwed it up again. what I'm trying to show is the fluctuations in my weight in 8 years, and there's been a solid trend upwards in 8 years, despite you can see I've lost weight many times. Um, this is the beginning of the timeline, and this is where I'm at now. You can see I'm way lower than I once was, but I'm also higher than I was when I started these recordings. At this point, I thought I was going to start losing weight. So, food quality and availability are major problems in America that nobody seems to notice. It's true, and I will absolutely say that there is very little difference in Canada. There's a bit of difference. It's very subtle difference, and you'd almost have to like sit down and do some major work on that to see those differences. And I did a post on my community page today where I sort of went off about economics and about how that affects people and the way they behave. Um, and yeah, food quality and availability. Um, JJ, I don't know if you've read up on this. This is something I haven't looked at in a while, but there's something that they call a food desert that I've heard about in economically depressed areas. Canada and America are like butter and margarine. Yeah, and I guess like as a Canadian, I'm probably more inclined to say we're more like butter in that we're a little bit more focused on real things, but I think that's not something I haven't encountered that explanation, but one of the things that you'll find about Canadians is that we're very proud and kind of quietly proud, and we're kind of proud of how quietly proud we are. So that's kind of fucked up, right? Um, Sorry, I just people are sending me messages and I don't even want to hear them because it looks like it's tax time's coming again. I got a message saying that I'm gonna have to do start recording all my tax information. Isn't that fun? The art scene. Well, that's interesting, JJ. You know what? I'm gonna do a fun part of the talk, so save up some thoughts about that, and maybe I'll talk a little bit about that because I'm gonna talk about some cool stuff that I've come across recently, and hopefully that won't get me in trouble. So I'm gonna go back to just going through this because I wanted to bring this up because I've been on Slim Cyborg is someone who has me on their channel quite frequently, and I love being on there. We have a lot of fun on that channel. So I'm gonna try to do something fun after I go through this. But there's been a few times where we've been talking about obesity, and the thing that I've been pushing back against, and I've apologized for getting serious when they're having fun conversations, because they've used obesity and being overweight as a derogatory statement towards people, not just them, right? This is other people, and they're commenting on it. And sometimes they're agreeing with the sentiment about who they're talking about. And politics in the States is pretty fucked. So um, I don't want to get into the whole debate about it because it's not something I'm super familiar with, but what I see sort of makes me cringe a lot. Um, and I think American politics has been, really maligned by a lot of characters where their personality is more important than the issues. And I think that's unfortunate. Hey, Azho, welcome. Welcome to the chat here. So I'm going over what it's like to live with obesity a little bit, but mostly I'm going over sort of like what we know, and then I'm going to start talking about some fun stuff I want to share with people. So I've talked about genes, and I've talked about like what it's like with our body defending against weight loss. So this is something that happens. So most studies looking at dietary and exercise interventions, any achieved weight loss disappears after 4 to 7 years. Well, I just showed you guys the chart of me over a period of 8 years recording my weight. And I have gone down and I have gone up and I have gone down and I have gone up and I have gone down. And now I'm higher than I started, but I'm better than I once got to. And in that period of 8 years, I've gone from probably uh I know in the last over 10 years I've gone up and down by over 100 pounds. I can say that with great certainty. And just excuse me for 1 second because I've realized something. Ah, that didn't know was happening here. So hopefully you can still hear me, but I just realized that the computer is unplugged, and I believe I'm no expert, but I believe that laptop computers that rely on a battery that runs down stop working when the battery disappears completely. So, trivia beast, yes. Azo, I had a muscle mass is increasing. I know muscle, yeah. So, audio is good. Okay, that's good. Yeah. So, and now the battery was at 10%, and I was like, I don't know how long this battery will last because this is my son's computer. I've commandeered slightly, but we don't take it on the road a lot. So, yeah, my muscle mass is quite large. So if I based on my current adipose tissue amount, if I were to lose all of my adipose tissue and be at 0% body fat, I would weigh about 230 pounds. So it'd be bone, organs, and muscle, and skin, I guess. When all those things are organs, I guess. But I like when I say, I mean internal organs, like my lungs and my heart and my liver and stuff like that. If I got rid of all the fat, all that stuff inside me that makes me work, my muscle tissue, my bone, and my skin that's holding it all in, and I guess my blood and shit like that, that's what I would weigh 230 pounds, and I'd be like ripped. I'd look like the cover of Men's Health, or probably more like I'd be beyond Muscle and Health. So I'd be Muscle and Health is like 5% body fat. I'd be more like Royd Scene Monthly, or Muscle and Fitness, or something like that. Back to work, AR. Okay, well, lurk away. Hopefully my voice doesn't lull you to sleep. Chad Trucker. Who the fuck is Chad Trucker? Or are you just saying that I'd be a Chad? Is it Chad a muscled guy? Is that I need to fucking know. JJ, please tell me, is it Chad? Do I not know the term Chad? He's like, I'm so old. I remember when Chads were something they were arguing about from punch cards in the election. I think it was Florida's election. Oh, okay, so Chad is Chad kind of like Karen? Because I have been called a Karen, mostly by my kids. That's something that really happens. So I'm going to go through it. So our genes affect how we respond to simplistic diet and exercise approaches. So, and this is something that is pushed back. And so Obesity Canada is a great organization that I love working with because they have really good science backing their recommendations. And so we're often told that this is really simple. You just move more, eat less. It's super simple, and you're going to just lose weight, and that's just how it's going to go. And one of the interesting things that I get privy to is about studies in mice and how they're figuring this out. Well, mice are not like us metabolically in a lot of ways, but if they keep mice that have short lifespans on a calorically reduced diet, or they change what they're fed, like the feed they give them, they change it, they have different ones. The mice respond this way and that way, and they add in medications and things like that, and they respond to those, and that's how they get the concept of what might work for humans. Humans are not necessarily way more complex than mice, but we live longer. We have more outside factors in a lab. If you're studying mice in a lab, the mice are only influenced by what you let them be influenced by. You can mitigate all sorts of confounding variables. In the real life of any given human, the confounding variables are almost infinite in what could happen. And I would propose, I don't know the mathematics behind this, but I think it's infinite in any given moment of the day what could happen to you next. And over the course of a lifetime, a human lifetime, I don't know what the average lifespan is. It used to be something like 75 for men and 80 for women. It's probably a little higher, a little lower, and depending on where you live. But I mean, over the course of a lifetime, how many different moments and seconds of your life do you live where one or another thing is affecting you and what's going on, right? Television. So they've shown here, this is interesting. Television, food advertising are influenced by our genes. So how you react to it. So your body will actually have reactions, and that's because of brain chemistry and how it affects hormones and messaging in the body. That's something that a lot of people don't know about. It's something that I've been extremely privileged to learn about working with Obesity Canada, is like actually talking firsthand to researchers and talking to them directly before, during, and after presentations that I've been lucky enough to be invited to participate in as a what they call a lived experience person. So it's something I really love doing, and I hope I can continue doing it, because so this is recommendations for society, and these are things that I want to push back on. And I don't know if my cursor shows up when I do this. Does it show up? I don't freaking know. But anyway, I'm gonna start with what's on the right, because this is why a couple of times recently I've been on Slim Stream and I've said, hey, I know you guys aren't saying this, and girls and everybody else. I know they're not trying to stigmatize, but a lot of the things that we do automatically, they do stigmatize. And it's something I'm trying to push back on. And that's why I'm doing this. First, I'm doing this, and second, I'm going to do something else that I think is really fun. Hopefully it'll be fun. I want to say I really enjoyed doing trivia. On Kentucky Atheist provided the venue, but ASHO hosted a great fun time there doing some trivia questions. So challenge and eliminate obesity stigma. So when somebody says, "Hey, this person sucks because they're fat," that's not why they suck. Somebody who sucks and also happens to be overweight or obese doesn't suck because of their body morphology. They don't suck because of what gender they are. They don't suck because of what skin color they are, and they don't suck because of the number of adipose tissue or fat cells in their body. That is not the measure of a person. It has become one, and I want to say this is something that's near and dear to my heart. I'm going to say this out loud right now, and that is this: there is a Oh, hey, Stephanie showed up while I was on the other thing trying to read this out. Um, it's important to me to point out that it's become, over a long period of time, an acceptable excuse to put people down for the shape of their body, the size of their body. Because and I think I'm hiding this comment because it's not really relevant to what I'm saying now. But I'm really glad Stephanie's made it here. Um, it's it's become acceptable because people have been told and have learned that people that live with obesity live with it because of a choice, because it's a lifestyle that they've chosen and they want to have. And that's not true. Nobody chooses this. Nobody actively chooses this. That just does not happen. Life like this is so much more difficult. Every step I take is so much more difficult. And I know some of the people watching this will be of one body type and others will be of another. And people will say, hey, I lost this amount of weight. I did this. It worked great for me. And one of the things we say when people share that is, thanks for telling us about your success. That is great. We're so glad that worked for you. And it's important to understand, if that worked for you, it doesn't mean it's going to work for anybody else. And I have encountered so many times people that just say, the reason why you are this weight is because you eat food after 5 p.m. Or the reason that you weigh this much is because you eat this type of macronutrient. Or the reason this happens is because you're this or you're that, or you don't have willpower, or you just don't exercise enough. I move over 10,000 steps a day just in my job. Just walking back and forth up and down the truck. I climb on uh machines that are so tall that when I'm at the top of the machine, I'm taller than the roof of the average semi truck's trailer. I'm talking about like a box fan. That's where I am. I have to put hoods on. I have to check for protrusions, antennas, lights, things that are too tall. I have to put them all down. I climb up there multiple times in a day. And I weigh 335 pounds, give or take, today. Maybe I'll weigh myself later and find how far off the mark I am. But moving that weight around is a lot. Um, the insurance charts and the military charts say I should weigh 165 pounds. That's like half of what I weigh. Basically, if I went by those charts, which are bullshit, by the way, I'm carrying another regular person with me everywhere I go all day long. Um, anyway, this is the next thing I want to see. So I'm going right to left. So challenge and eliminate obesity stigma. So when I see somebody who is saying something wrong about obesity, I'm going to step up and say something about it. I've decided that I cannot let it continue to happen. I've experienced it firsthand in my day-to-day life. I've experienced it firsthand in situations where I'm getting medical treatment, and I've experienced it firsthand in my own family, from friends, from all sorts of well-meaning people. I know 90% of them are well-meaning and 10% of them are just mean-spirited assholes. Mean-spirited assholes are probably not worth talking to. They probably just aren't. But for people that are just ill-informed and unaware, I really want to work on reaching out to them, because I think, like so many other things that we still have problems with today, reminding people that we're people first is worthwhile doing. And the overlap I see with so many other communities makes me want to do a simultaneous teardown of things that we shouldn't be picking on people for. And picking on people for being themselves is fucked. And picking on people for having a health concern is super fucked. Um, if we could probably find all sorts of situations and divide them up and get all sorts of moral high grounds on this, that, and the other issue. The fact of the matter is, some people are born into a body and an environment where obesity takes hold so much easier than it does for someone else. And just the same as someone else who eats the same amount of food I am may not be able to put on weight. Another person may eat the exact same amount of food I eat, and they just fit into the average mold super well. It's just the way they're built. No single one of us is superior to the other, but we treat people that way. We judge people on their height, we judge people on their skin tone, we judge them by their sexual orientation, we judge them by their gender presentation, by all sorts of things. I don't want to start trying to use terms I'm not familiar enough with, but we judge people for all sorts of bullshit. And yeah, we're gonna judge people, but man, we got to get rid of the bullshit treatment of each other and let people live their lives. That's my main thing. And if we could get rid of that stigma, it would reduce a lot of the mental strife that piles on with the development and maintenance of obesity as a disease, excuse me, that affects people's day-to-day lives. It's fucking horrible. So um mm, oh, thank you. Thank you, Asom. So, and I appreciate that. And you drink a pop as a treat. Yeah, okay. And what else is stop drinking pop. Yeah. Yeah. And Jason points out something to JJ, says eons ago the heaviest people were kings. Well, that's true, because they had access to food. And a lot of people didn't. So working on prevention and treatment approaches simultaneously is really important. I was at a symposium last year, and someone who worked in the prevention department brought up that they felt like they were not being heard, because they felt like the idea that there should be acceptance of people for who they are and letting them get treatment was pushing out the message for prevention. And it's a tricky balance, because when you try to say, you know what, some people are actually in a larger body and healthy, and there's no need for them to change anything. That is true. That's not true for me. I have excess adipose tissue that affects my day-to-day life. It's having a negative impact. But if I had this body mass and I was here and I had zero health effects and I lived my life and I was happy with myself, I would be super fucking pissed at people telling me to stop being who I am at this size, because I would just be super pissed at being told what to do and how to do it. Right now, I live with a situation that's super unfortunate. It does affect my life in a negative way, and I'm working on trying to address that and come up with a better solution for me, something that will actually work. There's a lot that goes into that. So, but prevention is important too. I do not want my children to grow up and go through what I'm going through. I do not want their peers to grow up and go through what I'm going through. Some of them are right now. It is happening. So, yes, I want prevention to happen, and it should happen. We should not do one over the other. That's never the solution, right? And I think there's all sorts of other diseases. Like what kind of world would we live in if we said to a cancer patient, "Hey, fuck you. We're putting all of our dollars into stopping other people from getting the disease. Why don't you just go die in the corner over there?" That's fucked up. Nor would it make sense for us to tell all the people that are at high risk of developing a cancer, hey, sorry, we're too busy treating cancer patients to work on figuring out how to stop you from getting cancer. And besides, you're like, job insurance. We know we will still be employed 10 years from now if we make sure you get cancer. Those are fucked up ways to deal with things. I'm sorry. That's just not the way it ought to work. And so it's important to think that way, that you can do two things. The world is dynamic. Our whole universe is a hugely dynamic place with a lot of shit going on. There is no need to have this false dichotomy. And it's not a false dichotomy as if it's one or it's the other. It's a false dichotomy as in you don't just do one, you do both. And maybe not the same people do both, but getting those minds together, like at the symposium I was at last year, and I hope to go to another similar thing this year. And I will, if I do more stuff with that, I'll be reporting on it. It's important that we get people together. That's just it. And then I didn't mean to do that. I don't know if I can get this back to where I was. Here it is. Okay. Does this still look okay? I guess it does. Okay. I pressed something on my screen. It looks like it's going on. Hey, Kentucky Atheist. Joe, what's going on? You sent it out a few minutes ago. Okay, I don't know what the hell that is. That this does not look like something that has to do with what I'm presenting on. So, recognize obesity. So that's the last point here. Address the underlying biological environmental factors leading to obesity. That's trying to change the obesogenic environment, and it's also trying to change what's causing people to develop obesity in that environment. What's causing their body to react that way. So if we take away super highly processed foods and whole food access should be ubiquitous and universal. I think that would do a lot to just mean that people have good basic nutrition. That would be a great first start. It's not the only solution. It's a multiple solution situation. Anyway, welcome, Joe. It's great to have you here. I see, like, the thing says we have 7 people watching, which is pretty good for an unannounced, unplanned show. But I'm only having a show because I'm off work today. And then I'm gonna finish this up really quickly because we addressed those things. Agriculture needs some JJ, that's true. That's true. Agriculture as an industry and a business is working on making money, not providing maximal nutrition. And quality of nutrition is it's hard to get. It's very expensive. It's something I've looked at the math on a bunch of different things. It is we have trouble in our family just trying to make ends meet a lot of weeks. I know we're more privileged than many, but just trying to buy food between inflation, lack of availability of stuff. I've gone in the grocery stores and seen produce that just isn't fit to be sold. I've seen meat that looks like it's rotting in the packages so it was packed that morning. It's not always there. The poverty correlation between poverty and income. I'm assuming Joe that you mean like with the increased incidence of obesity there. Um yeah, Sumami, you're right. It's people cooking at home makes a big difference. And my wife and I do a lot of cooking at home. It's the main way we eat is eating at home. Or packing stuff to take with me. Like I pack my cooler every day. It's something I do. And welcome, Sumami. It's good to see you. Yeah, and you're right, and I know, and Sumami, I believe is a, I don't know if you do any cooking professionally, but you do some, you do present on your channel, pictures of things that you've made, and, Sumami, I believe, is a talented chef, um, and maybe Sumami will do some more with that. Maybe I can, like, coerce Sumami to come on my channel and talk about how to cook good food, 'cause, that's a piece of it. That is a piece of it for sure. So then the last point here, on this little chart is about recognizing obesity as a chronic disease requiring lifelong medical treatment and support. So that's something that people don't want. Um, they don't want to do that. Feed one person healthy food, my house, much less four. Yeah. Um, I'm going to address both of those. And Sumami, I think, lives in Florida, and I don't know if food is easier to obtain in Florida. Um, but I know Sumami is a talented chef, and if you're talented, you can if you're talented and knowledgeable, you can make more, do more. That's a thing I've noticed, and it's not just about food, it's about everything. Professionals with a lot of experience can solve problems with less resources because they know how. And that's, that's something missing too. I think Sumami's point, I want to take this point. I'm gonna talk about this for just a second. So, mommy, thanks for saying this. People don't like to actually cook. It doesn't take away from the fact that it is actually like more expensive now to buy food than it was a year or two or five ago compared to what incomes are, at least where I am. Um, but I do think that if you are creative and knowledgeable and you learn something about how to make the best of what you have, you can do more than people actually do. And I think it's a lack of knowledge and training and understanding and things that were a part. And Sumami, I don't know if you studied this. I know you've shown pictures on your page of great meals you've cooked. And then so that's where I've gotten the notion that you're talented at this. Um, but some people can really make, um, the term, my grandmother used to say it was making a silk purse out of a sow's ear. But the idea being that you could, like, do that in a resourceful way that's more than just making more of what you have than what you seem to have there. And that's really that's a talent combined with a lot of knowledge. And that was something that, like, everybody cooked from scratch back in the day. I don't think my kids know how to cook stuff fully from scratch. My daughter has a keen sense for being a chef and a baker, and she loves doing stuff like that. And she knows more about it than some, but she also, a lot of times, just for the sake of expediency, she'd rather work from a kit where half the work's done for her. But she's lived in a world where that was the regular way. When I was a kid, my mother, my aunts, my grandmothers were all cooked from scratch type people, and it switched over time. So, like, when I was a very young kid, it was the 70s, and when I was probably a little bit more aware of what was going on, it was the super early 80s. That seemed to be about the time when convenience foods took over in a huge way in the early 80s, and I noticed a change, the shift in what was going on. Um, and I was saying, yeah, when your mom was the only breadwinner that you didn't eat out much, yeah, it would be expensive to do, and that's why I put this post up about that. So, um, and JJ can fall back on the local squirrel population. Please, share squirrel recipes. And Joe's saying here, what I'm saying is I could spend 1,000 a month on groceries. If I bought the stuff to cook meals, fresh foods that would last about 2 weeks. It's not an option to not buy processed foods. Yeah, no, so no, okay, Joe, you're right. Um, the cost of food. So for a family of four, um, these are Canadian dollars, so they're worth about 70% of an American dollar. And I think most of the people watching me right now are American. So yeah, there's gonna be something to the dollar conversion, right? I hunt, so deer is a big part of my diet by choice. Yeah, no, I used to hunt deer, and get some deer meat, and that was great. I need to get back at doing that. I just haven't had. I haven't had the a combination of lack of things to do, heavy workload, and combined with my health to do that. And now that my kids are old enough that I could take off for a few days and do it, I don't know. Maybe I should be trying to teach my kids how to hunt too. But I don't know if I don't think my wife would appreciate it. I think she has an aversion to firearms and stuff. But anyway, fried spiders taste like nuts. Oh, I did not know they tasted like nuts. Elk is JJ elk is great. Um, so I'm gonna say that the average weekly shop for us now is about I'm gonna say about 400 Canadian dollars a week. So it'd be 800. So in 4 weeks, that'd be 1,600 Canadian dollars. If we convert it to oh, it was a trivia question. That might have been one when I had my leg spasm. I actually ended up having to fall on the floor and try to stretch my leg out. So I tried to stand up and I almost fell over when I had a major leg spasm. But that's a whole nother story. I won't go into that. That's not the fun stuff's coming right up. It's coming right up. I'm gonna change this banner. I'm gonna change this to um fun things. So I'm gonna change that. I hit save there and then put it here. There we go. Fun things. I'm gonna get rid of this. I'm gonna close this down. I'm gonna close this down. I'm gonna close this down. There we go. So now I'm not presenting anything. It's just me here. And then I'll put this up here too. Because I wrote I don't remember what I wrote that about. So I'm gonna go to this. I think I can share some stuff and hopefully this is working. Um where was this now? Hmm. I wanted to show something here. I don't know how to do this. I go to this. What I want to do is history. There we go. There we go. I saw some interesting stuff here. Um, where the hell is this? Sorry, guys. I'm scrolling through looking for something here. I'm looking for something. Um, I'm trying to find this funny thing I saw recently. Well, it's kind of a fun thing I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to share some cool stuff that I enjoy. So, um, oh, there's so much going on here. Oh, here we go. Here we go. This is here. Here we go. I'm gonna, is this playing? I think it's playing. I don't know how to do this. So I don't know if that's playing. I'll probably have to go press this and then. Am I presenting? Okay. Share share screen. I don't know if this is. Here we go. All right, here
Implications
we go.
which would
So this
ensue
is
when really difficult problems are tackled.
this
End
is
quote. By Sir
this is okay. So this is something I want to talk about that's super dumb, but I think it's funny. They call a study where they found the majority of food that makes it all the way to the trash barges is still edible. Yeah, you know what, JJ, that's probably true. So, but I'm changing topics. So, I mean, I'm kind of gonna fuck that up here. But anyway, so this is something that I've gotten into this. Our buddy, Dr. Tapioca Weasel, who I'm assuming it's probably common knowledge as a friend of mine, or has become a friend of mine outside of just chatting on YouTube. And if he doesn't want people to know that, I'll retract that statement. That's not true. It's like totally a made up story that just came from me. Don't give away because they're afraid of lawsuits. Oh fuck. Yeah, Vandy. So I think if I remember correctly, Maya posted a thing saying they're having like a 500 subscriber stream coming up soon. Maybe it's tomorrow or I don't freaking know. I can't remember. Anyway, if somebody knows, if somebody knows and they want to let me know about it, I'll post it. I don't think I've made a lot of people mods on my channel. There's an outside of YouTube. Hey, Mark Caesar, what's going on, man? Yeah, there is life outside of YouTube. So one of the interesting things that happened over the Christmas break that I had, I started watching some weird videos from a couple of people, and I'm really trying hard to twist Vandy's arm. He's got a lot of people filling up his dance card, so it might get harder and harder to get him to come on a stream with me. But we have some interesting conversations, he and I. Outside of, sometimes it's inspired by what we see on YouTube, but we have other conversations just about life in general, whatever. We seem to get along, and hopefully he's not upset with me letting people know that we're friends outside of just Dapper Dinosaur Bingo chats and stuff. So and Vandy, if you come and see this and you're pissed off about this, you're gonna have to send me a DM and let me know to stop saying shit like this. But yeah, no, we've had a good time chatting about some stuff when we were talking about this thing. So there's a guy who you come on your show. Okay, I can't promise to me. Okay, well I'll come on your show, Joe. Yeah, we can and you're welcome to come on my show, Joe. Maybe I should invite people. I know I've invited Bree, but I've never followed up on getting her on the show. And I feel like I do my shows and things so infrequently and so didactically that people can't plan stuff out. I can't plan stuff out because I don't know what's going on. Why don't you be a guest here in a couple of weeks? Okay, KA, I will do that. Joe will send me a message and we will do that. And then Joe and I think Asmo and I might do this too. I'm not sure. But we're gonna Joe and I are gonna try to debate each other on a theist topic. We're each gonna take a theist position that neither one of us hold, not just because we're atheists, but like things we don't even know about, and we're gonna fight each other in a debate. Something along the lines of this won't be the topic, so I'm gonna try to come up with like an explanation of this. Is like I'm gonna say that Christianity is true because the only way to get a Messiah is to have your prophet has to be nailed to a wooden cross and die on that cross and then get buried in a cave and then rise again. And that's the only way to actually have a religion, and any religion that doesn't believe in that is wrong. And then Joe will come and say, no, Islam's the true religion because the only way to have a true religion is to have your prophet fly to the moon on a Pegasus, split it in two, and then fly back. Something like that. And I realize I'm a little overly ridiculous on the explanation. Although, fuck, is that actually overly ridiculous? I think both of those things are held. I mean, not quite in those terms. They don't say that's the only way, but they do say that's the way they came up with their top prophet, right? So, and they're both two flavors of Abrahamic religion. So, like theoretically worshiping the same God in different ways. I'm not sure. There's a surah involving a cow jumping over the moon. There might be. I don't know. Whatever the kid, there was a poem about diddle diddle. I'm not sure if diddle diddle should be in a nursery rhyme. There's hey diddle diddle, the cat and the fiddle. The cow jumped over the moon. The little dog laughed to see such a sport, and the dish ran away with the spoon, which always reminds me of the Far Side comic where the fork and the knife are like living in squalor in their apartment, reminiscing about what it was like before the dish ran away with the spoon. Fuck. The dish ran away with the spoon. Yeah, well, the Cups and Saucers are a ride at fucking Disney World. So they were. They probably aren't anymore. I'm so old. They probably don't have Cups and Saucers anymore. I wonder if they even have like that future world where like it looks like everything stopped in 1951. And not even like real 1951, like the 1951 that was presented by like Barbara Billingsley. You think that's about drugs, buddy? Buddy, are you trying to talk Canadian there, Joe? I'm gonna open up my I'm gonna open up this. I'm just gonna invite people to join. I think there's like a way to like there's a way to like post this or whatever. What's a small world? What's a small world? I remember Beauty and the Beast teacup. What the fuck's a Beauty and the Beast teacup ride? Oh fuck, I don't know, man. Look, sometimes I want to like teach people how to talk Canadian because you know, Canadian people, we talk a little bit funny, eh? We got we got some funny sayings here, and you know, if we're telling a story about something that happened, oh look, Joe's here. Joe's here. Let's add him to the stage.
That
Are you
was
there?
quick draw on that one.
Oh fuck! I saw you. You came up there real fucking quick. Okay, Azo's gonna go get the ballless pup and his new cone head. Awesome, awesome. See if you can get the cone head that says under construction because we got one apparently. Just say a sorry. No sorry, bud. That's not how we do it, eh? We don't just say hey. We got all sorts of funny shit we say up here. Like when we're telling a story about something where like
If you
like if
limit it
somebody
to just
were
A,
to,
you're not doing it service.
no, and I don't know how to fix the audio for Joe. I hear it really low. Does anyone else hear Joe? I will never get a word in with Joe. Joe,
Hold on, I'll fix it on my
hold
end.
on. I'm gonna edit mic settings. I'm gonna
1 second.
I don't think I do. Okay, if I undo that, I can get this up a bit. Okay. Try talking again, Joe. I might have fucked him up. Now he's muted. Did I mute him? Did I
How
mute
are
you,
we
Joe?
now?
That's a little better.
I should
The
be good
first
now. I
episode of
muted
Leave It to
myself.
Beaver aired in 1957. Thank you, Stephanie, for letting me know I totally fucked it up. I guess my point is, Stephanie, that Barbara Billingsley was like still living 6 years earlier. Like she hadn't even progressed to 1957. She was still living in 1951. But I mean, the truth is, life wasn't ever really like that for. I mean, maybe it was for some person, like the person that wrote that. It's good now, Joe. Go ahead. Holy fuck, super low. Now Stephanie's coming. All right, here we go. Hello,
Yeah,
Stephanie.
can you hear me nice and clear now?
I think so. And Stephanie, how about you? How's your sound? I don't have any sound
I'm
from
doing
Stephanie.
the echo thing now, and I need to stop it. Hold on.
Okay.
My sound's good. Seems
Okay.
like.
Your sound's good. Okay. Echo cancel it. I can get rid of echo. How's that,
No.
Stephanie?
No, it's I've got the YouTube tab open, so I need to close.
Okay.
it.
All right. And Jason Jacoby or Jacoby says his childhood was somewhere
There we
between
go.
Beaver and Napoleon
Oh.
Dynamite. That's a good one. Kids version of Mad Max. I didn't understand a Napoleon Dynamite movie. Stephanie's having a salmon there. She knows how to enjoy life.
I do.
Yeah, oh yeah. I quit smoking in 2005.
Good for you. I wish I could. I've quit many times.
Yeah, well, I did a few times before that, but I was successful up till now anyway. I was successful on February 2nd, 2005. So
Yeah.
it's been 19 years since I smoked a cigarette, very nearly.
Don't start again.
I'm not gonna
and
start
don't
again.
start ever. It's like anybody who thinks it's cool, it ain't.
No. I mean, I used to love smoking, and I smoke. I have a tobacco pipe. I smoke very infrequently, like probably twice a year. But fuck yeah, I don't.
Well, as
I don't
I
want to go back to that.
As I recall, Ward smoked a pipe. Ward Cleaver smoked a pipe.
Did Ward Cleaver smoke? He probably did smoke a pipe.
I do believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not really sure.
We lost Joe. I guess he was tired of not getting a word in edgewise. Or I don't know if his I don't know if his audio just went fucked or what, but anyway.
The
So
hell?
Stephanie, you're a smart lady. You think the universe and gravity is all electric?
Why would I think that?
Well, have you heard of Wall Thornhill?
I've heard of a lot of crackpots, but
Yeah, you did. But I've heard a couple of new ones.
have
recently.
you ever heard of Isaac Newton?
Yeah, I've heard of Isaac Newton.
You know, I mean, there's a fairly long history of how the inverse square law works.
Yeah.
and nobody really quite figured out why it worked until that Einstein fella.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of other stuff got explained by that. So why would I think that electromagnetism has anything to do with gravity?
Yeah.
Which is a function of the geometry of space-time.
Yeah, it's very curious how many people want to overturn Einstein in modern science. And I think Einstein explained a lot, and I know there's still more to explain. It's 1999.
Well,
Mark's way ahead of me here, because in 1999 at 1:50 p.m. I guarantee you I was smoking a cigarette right then and there. Because back then I smoked 3 packs a day, and a pack of Canadian cigarettes is 25. So that was 75 cigarettes a day I smoked.
Yeah,
It's a lot. And the king size, so they were the long cigarettes. A lot of them had filters, not all of them, but a lot of them had filters.
I used to get my cigarettes from Canada.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. I know a guy.
I like the packaging of Canadian smokes these days, like
versus the soft one.
Diseased lungs.
That, yeah, okay. JJ 99 was the most unhealthy year of your life. For me, it was 2018. 2019 wasn't much better, but I went into kidney failure in 2018. It's never been any worse than that. And JJ says it can't be electric because there's only one electron. Joe, what do you think?
What is the question?
Could the universe be entirely electric? Like, could electromagnetics explain
No.
everything about the universe, including gravity?
No, that's been debunked. The electric universe hypothesis has been debunked many, many times over. The Professor Dave does a great coverage of it. He covers it in several different videos.
Of Wall Thornhill, and what an idiot he is for thinking this. So
I mean, poetically, it sounds nice. Walt Whitman, I Sing the Body Electric, is always, that's a nice little poem, but it's not physics.
Right.
I think people are I was listening to, there's a very smart lady on YouTube, in addition to Stephanie, I'll point out, who has a show about science in general. She's a science promoter.
Well, hold on a second. Go ahead, Al.
Well, I think this lady's name is Angie Colastro, but I gotta look it up. And she's an astrophysicist. She did a great. I'm gonna put Tsunami's thing up here while I say this, because I'm sure Angie wants to be associated with The Booby Electric by Isaac Asimov. Isaac Asimov has written some cool stuff. Stephanie seems to have disappeared. I don't know if she's doing that funny Monty Python thing, or wow, you just reappeared, Stephanie. That was spooky action at a distance.
Hotkeys and
none of my keys are hot. None of my keys are hot at all. I gotta fix that. I'm gonna work on goofing around with some stuff. So this guy Wall Thornhill is one of the people that promotes this, but there's this guy Pierre Marie Robitaille, who I think is actually a Canadian guy, is a big proponent of this electric universe and says the CMB doesn't exist and that they're just getting weird reflections off the ocean, which doesn't seem entirely plausible. And then there's this other guy called Unziger. So, but Angie Colastro, I think it is her channel. She talks about
can I point out
crackpots
something?
in general. Go ahead, Joe.
So this question about the CMB, and that's a big problem for this electric universe theory, and they've tried to just dismiss it like that, just to throw it down. But remember, people won Nobel Prizes for discovering the CMB. They don't just give those out. Like, you're going to have to do more than just say, oh, well, the CMB is just a reflection of the ocean. Like, the cosmic microwave background is, fairly well understood and observable. So
look,
there's Ember. He'll back this up.
I got a full.
I heard somebody say CMB.
Yeah.
CMB.
Yeah. Are we talking about Penzias and Wilson?
Well, we're talking about electric universe theory.
I was talking about like debunking the electric universe. Or putting more bunk into it. I'm not sure which. Welcome, Ember. I've now got two amazing ladies on the channel, and Joe and I are here, so which is cool. I'm assuming I've clicked something. Is my face
Stephanie
covered by
immediately
something
leaves.
there? What's that? Oh yeah, Stephanie. Stephanie's being spooky today. I want to see Stephanie come in from the top upside down, like we're in a Monty Python sketch. She has a hotkey for that too, I bet. I've seen her do it. It's hilarious. She was frozen too at the time, so she really looked like Monty Python like throws God in there like on a little stick, and I don't fucking remember which movie that was from, or maybe it was from the show. Anyway, I always had a lot of fun with that. Oh, Joe's got an icon now.
The avatar has appeared.
Where will the electric sheep go if you debunk the electric universe? I don't know. Anyway, I thought it was interesting that there's,
of course.
This. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, streams, depending on what you're into, like stepping into all sorts of streams can be fun. So I found out this cool thing.
Yeah, it's me. I'm a polymath.
From Angie. What's that? You're a polymath?
I'm a polymath.
You're polymath. Okay. I like polymath. I would love to be a polymath. I'm working on it. I've got a lot of years of studying to get there. So, but this lady Angie's like, these crackpots all want to debunk Einstein because they like science. They like the concept of science. They can talk some sciencey words, but they just want to take over the whole world and win a Nobel Prize out of nowhere, doing no background research on what's actually already known. And I thought, like, man, she's a smart lady about so many things, but she's right on the money. People are trying to debunk the biggest theories that are the best tested because they think they can turn the whole world on its ear.
Oh,
but
yeah, it's a Dunning-Kruger thing.
Full of shit.
I did the
That's
same
okay
thing in
though.
school.
I mean, you can do it. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
Get it
Well,
get
one
it
of the
done and
great
get it
things-
peer reviewed, and there you go. Here's your Nobel Prize. But nobody's actually been very successful at doing that. And the ones that think that somehow God did it are that you've got no evidence for a God.
No,
bring
yeah.
that first.
No, it's an interesting overlap we have. So this guy, this Wall Thornhill guy is one of the less they don't do the best job at backing up their position, but they do some talking. But then this guy, this German guy, Unziker's Real Physics, I've recently come across, and I'm trying to understand what they're saying, because they are interesting in that they're a crackpot for sure, but they have enough of a background in physics words and some formula to actually throw up enough stuff. They're like, it's like if Austin Whitsitt said something half coherent.
I was just thinking of Whitsitt.
Yeah, Whitsitt's the ultimate word salad. Because Whitsitt says stuff that makes no fucking sense. Like, you can tell it makes no sense as you hear him say it. But this Unzicker guy says stuff. He's like, look at this. Like, when I look at the math for this has to be this, not that. And you're like, oh, fuck, now, like, he's not telling us where he got this from, but I guess if we could find this, we could check for ourselves. But he doesn't really give a lot of background information, so it's a harder thing to fight against, and that's why Vandy and I were chatting about it. Sorry, Ember?
No, that was me. I said, wonder why he doesn't give the background.
Well, I think, like, it's funny, like, it almost looks like he's about to walk you through something, and he just makes a statement and doesn't really back it up, right? He just says, if this is this temperature, it has to be a liquid, not a plasma. He's basically saying that the sun is a liquid hydrogen C, there's no plasma and there's no gas. It's a liquid C.
Well,
that's not how they work.
Okay, where do the neutrinos come from then?
I don't fucking know. But I think a neutrino just flew through my head now.
One of the great things
you've got quite a few of them flying through your head right now.
Yeah, but it's interesting if you add enough semi-coherence to an Austin Whitsitt type presentation, you start to get something that I don't believe him, but I'm like, well, in order to put, like, I can hand wave away Whitsitt because nothing he says makes sense. And if he does talk about something that's an actual theory that people have come to agree on, he says something immensely wrong about it or misunderstood. Mm-hmm. But his whole thing is about having absolute idiots follow him. I think Pierre-Marie Robitaille and this Unzicker guy are feeding basic ideas to Whitsitt, which he then dumbs down as if they need dumbing down to then present to his audience. And that's what I've come to believe. And it's kind of funny.
Well, there's a lot of these so-called science channels that are using AI to come up with scripts for things. And AI just isn't, that's not what it's for. And that's not what it does. And they're making these videos and label them as science videos, like, oh, we discovered the Big Bang isn't true and we've totally debunked the Big Bang and stuff like that. And then they're videos and you get in here and listen and it doesn't actually give any information. But one of the great things about science is that these peer-reviewed studies, laws, theories, and things that make up, what we call science, they can be scrutinized. You can, this isn't like religion. You can scrutinize these things. And when you do, you find in most cases, we're talking about peer reviewed things that have been reviewed by many, many scientists over many years. And you can scrutinize it all you like, but if you're going to disprove something, you need to actually have the proof, the sources, you need to have your shit together. Coming and saying that, oh, well, the sun's this and it's not what science has told us is fine. But if you're not going to back that up, then why would anyone listen to you rather than go with the sound science that has been established?
I think what a lot of these people are missing is that we actually want these things to be disproven. Like, that's how we learn more. Yeah. Like, there's no conspiracy to silence these people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no,
exactly. I mean, if somebody literally came up with a way of overturning we know for a fact that we don't know. We don't know how the universe actually works because general relativity and quantum mechanics don't work well together once you get into the realm of tons and tons and tons and tons and megatons and gigatons of mass. We don't know how does it work. It gets okay to a certain extent, and both realms make predictions of phenomena that bear out, except when you get to black holes.
The extremely large or the extremely small.
Which is where, cosmology and quantum mechanics sort of combine. Sean Carroll's really good on this stuff. Really good on this stuff.
Deeper understanding.
But my pet peeve, one of my pet peeves, I have a lot of pet peeves. I have a veritable menagerie of peeves.
A zoo of peeves.
They're cute, but there's still a lot of peeves. And one of them happens to be scientists who wander out of their fields and
I was going to say the same thing.
Ridiculous claims about things they know very little about. If you want to get specific, Sabine Hassenfelder opining about medical practice is just cringe. It's like, you want medicine to be conducted like physics, and you can't do it that way. The methodologies don't work because you can't do double-blind experiments in medicine. You can't. Not ethically, you can't.
So a recent experience that I had with this is I debated T-Rock a while back, and T-Rock is a mechanical engineer, and he does it every day. That's his job. That's what he does. But then when he comes to argue about geology and things of that sort, he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, and he makes it up as he goes. And then he tries to shoehorn in, well, I'm a mechanical engineer, and it's the mechanisms that I'm interested in. And it's like, okay, but this is geology. It's a different subject.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want a dentist doing brain surgery.
Exactly.
To a person with a hammer,
probably a bad idea.
Like a nail.
Yeah. Everything looks like a nail. So this is Unziker I put up here, who liquid metallic hydrogen is his hypothesis here, I guess.
Liquid metallic hydrogen.
Yeah. So the thing is, he's popping something up here. Now we could probably search for this image. I don't know if he made the image himself or not. He's got a whole bunch. There's a couple of things you could probably look up here. So he's throwing a lot of stuff.
Relatively standard.
Yeah. There's some stuff we could find. So he's showing what the temperatures are. And I'm not going to play the guy's whole video, and I'm sure he's not going to appreciate that I'm calling into question his take on things. But the most interesting thing he said wasn't any of these things he proposes as a different hypothesis. I mean, testing the hypothesis would make some sense, rather than just saying this is this. But one of the interesting things that they said, have I muted Ember, or did Ember mute themselves?
He did it himself.
He did. Okay. I just want to make sure I didn't click on it when I was moving screens here.
Ember is
so what I found him saying was basically that there were people in the past that were not trusted when they had right answers, and that he basically saying that we now are making the mistake of not listening to him and Pierre-Marie Robitaille, and that we're all going to be sitting here with egg on our face for not realizing that they're the people that are the Einsteins of our day. And,
of course.
That, and I'm like, wow, that's I don't think.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, basically they're saying you're treating us like Galileo was treated by the religious establishment or whatever, and I can't. There was an example they used, a specific example from over 100 years ago, where one person said something and a lot of people disagreed, and then it's a little fucking much to me to put that out there. I think what people misunderstand about science, and I guess this guy has some sort of science education, and I don't know enough about German education to fully understand. It says he has a physics diploma from an institution in Germany, and I don't know if that means he's a PhD in physics or if that means he like took a couple of like prerequisites to become like a high school teacher or what. I have no idea what this guy's deal is.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
So this guy is asserting that the sun is made of liquid metallic hydrogen, correct?
Yes, and that's more plausible than a plasma state hydrogen and helium, etc.
So are you going to play this, or are we just talking about him?
Well, we can talk about what an idiot he is on the face, but yeah, I can play some of this.
Well, no, because I want to go ahead and just address the liquid metallic hydrogen thing.
Go ahead.
So liquid metallic hydrogen is found. Well, it's believed to be at the center of some large gas giants and other really large planets with high gravity and large masses. So it's not a stretch to say that there may be liquid metallic hydrogen somewhere in the sun. I mean, that would kind of follow, but I think this is one of those things where it's like they've made this leap into this, and he's not actually able to back this up in any significant way other than conjecture and speculating and all that. And it's not that fringe to say that there may be liquid metallic hydrogen in the sun, but to say that it's made of it and not plasma whenever we observe, there's a ton of ways to observe that the sun is composed of plasma, at least in the parts that we observe. So yeah, I don't know. That's why I was asking if you were going to play it, because I'm not sure what he's really asserting here. If he's just asserting that the center of the sun may contain liquid metallic hydrogen, yeah, that makes sense. But the sun being made completely of it, it wouldn't even be able to be in that form on the surface of the sun. So
no, and that's kind of what he's saying. He's saying that, and he's not saying that we're wrong, because I don't think anyone if anyone on the panel is a solar scientist, please hold your hand up and tell me that you're a solar scientist.
Only a little bit as it pertains to general astrophysics.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Ember, you're and Stephanie's muted. I'm assuming she muted herself.
I'm a polymath. I mean,
you're polymath.
I don't know. Okay. Obviously, but I'm not a scientist. I'm a sailor. What the hell? I'm an rank amateur, but I do try to stay abreast of things a little bit, as much as I can.
Okay, well, I'm also gonna say that in 10 minutes I'm gonna close this down, because I'm rank in my smell right now, and I've got to go. I've got to go to an appointment, so I got to make sure that I'm cleaned up and ready to go. But I'm going to say, okay, we are then, as relative lay people, trusting that solar scientists, people that actually study our local star, have looked at a couple of different possibilities, and that some of them might even like hear about this and like, should we double check this? Like, do you think they're saying what they're saying because they're trying to pull the wool over everyone's eyes and say, oh no, yeah, no, it's in a plasma state. Like, I think the word plasma and the use of the word plasma to describe what was going on wasn't being used by the general public. Like, I'm sure they knew about it, but I think like 30, 40 years ago, when I first was hearing about the sun, people talked about it as like a gas ball. Because they were being super, probably also because I was younger, they were being super simple about it, and not trying to bring in other states of matter. But I think we've also learned things. But I also know, like in high school, I used a spectrometer to look at different things going on in chemical reactions. If I could have one in high school, don't you think they've got some super good spectroscopy going on right now? I mean, I know Flat Earth Dave thinks you have to keep it in a container, but like, just because you carry it around in a briefcase doesn't mean you can't pull it out and shoot it at shit.
Well, I mean, there are plasmas on Earth that we've created, and it's like, we have in fact studied plasmas. It's a different state of matter. It took a while for us to realize that it was a different state of matter, but we wouldn't be having arc lights if there wasn't plasma.
All right. Well, I feel like I could play some of this video and we could hear like how he talks, and I'll do a little bit of it, but basically, and I don't want the guy to copyright claim me or whatever, so I don't know how that has to work, but I'm basically just going to play a little bit of it so you can get a flavor of what he's saying. If you want to know more about him, certainly go watch him. But I also, like, if people are enjoying this type of conversation, I will like devote something to this. I just thought I'd bring this out as a fun thing to kind of chat about and get some input on, and maybe I should get a few other people to come talk to me. And I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you were all here when I mentioned it, it's like Dr. Tapp and I have had some, off camera conversations, and we've talked about maybe debunking and getting into this a little bit more as to like what is involved in this conversation. A little bit more of a serious take on it than like a BSS type conversation, but certainly if
Vandy's a materials experimentalist, and so I mean, he'd be perfect for this sort of thing.
I think so, and we've talked about this a little bit, and he realizes that you can't just say no, and he has the intellectual honesty, and I think it's important to say, hey, if this guy makes a claim, can we just say, yeah, no, you're fucking wrong? It's like, no, we should look at what he says, and then if he's wrong, he's wrong. If he has some points, then say, okay, does somebody already know about these points, or is he actually at the leading edge of science as he claims? So I'll just play a couple of minutes of it or whatever, and we'll just talk about like the tone of what he's saying here and see what we think, and then I'll wrap it up.
I gotta go at this juncture because I gotta go mod Takis today. So
okay. Well, enjoy that. Hopefully I get a chance to listen to some of that. And thanks you,
for
Stephanie,
having me
for
on.
joining.
Bye.
Thank you.
Laters.
All right. Okay, I'll just play this for a minute here.
There were hidden assumptions which entered the back door of the model and are not really direct evidence. Now, I have argued in this video that the sun is not made of gas simply because gases emit discrete lines, and this is a continuous spectrum, contradicting the most direct evidence we have. And then you may have heard that the sun is a plasma, and of course a plasma, as a matter of principle, could also produce a continuous spectrum, but the plasma, and we are talking about the surface of the sun, okay, not the inside. The inside could be a plasma, okay, but if you talk about the surface of the sun, it's not a plasma simply because it would burn out to the solar system all planets we know. It's much too hot. You would need 157,000 Kelvin around that. Now, of course, people are kind of impatient.
Okay, so you get a sense of how he talks here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's disturbing.
He didn't support any of that.
7th grade science there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
it's
the whole. I see where his problem is. He's like, if it were just hydrogen giving off light, then we should only get hydrogen lines as the emission spectrum. Just the same way as we do see hydrogen lines in the absorption spectrum, but it's producing a full spectrum. That shouldn't be possible from just hydrogen. But the thing of it is that plasmas do produce a full spectrum because plasmas are ions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the plasma state, I'm going to learn a whole lot more about it before I say a whole lot more, but the sun can't because it would burn everything. Yeah. I think like the one thing about the sun that I do understand, or have a bit of a sense of, and I want to point this out, is that stars in general, and our sun is a star, have such a large concentration of mass that produces such a large gravitational field that despite the immense energy going on with, and it doesn't matter what state, I think we can all agree that with the amount of heat that's there, there's a fair amount of vibration and agitation of matter in a star that might want things to push out and create a great amount of exothermic action from what's going on inside a star or a sun. But the gravity keeps pulling it back in, and that it kind of fuels itself that way. That's the one thing I sort of understand. And so to say that it can't be that because we don't experience this in a lab setting on Earth or in extremely close to us situations doesn't mean these observations can't be taken and assessed from where we are. So, and from probes and things we send out there. So, I don't know.
So while they can't, of course, recreate the sun on Earth, there have been many, many, many studies where they have reproduced the conditions of the surface of the sun in a lab. And
oh yeah.
And and they have done it with, guess what? Plasma.
Yeah. Well, there you go. And I've got AJ's putting something up here. I think this is a funny way to put it, but I think my understanding, as rudimentary as it is, I am a truck driver after all. I'm not a fucking physics person. Plasma is like a bunch of protons and electron energy, but my understanding is in the plasma state, the base particles of hydrogen are actually so agitated that they're not in a standard atomic state that we know them to be in.
Let me point something out here too. If he's arguing for liquid metallic hydrogen, how do you get to liquid metallic hydrogen without encountering plasma?
Like, as in that you'd have to rip it down to that state first in order to have it become the conditions
one. The conditions that researchers think that cause liquid metallic hydrogen to form, which it seems to not be common, but it's in the center of these huge planets with huge gravitational forces acting on the hydrogen. So, I mean, if the sun is obviously putting off heat, right? I mean, it's obviously doing that. So we know that the gravity in the middle of the sun is great enough to cause it to ignite and put off heat. So we're burning that hydrogen. Now it stays in a ball, and we know that the photons can spend millions of years, hundreds of millions of years, trying to escape the gravity of the sun. So the problem with that is that if you're arguing for liquid metallic hydrogen, you're just setting up the conditions for the sun to be made of plasma. Like, it's not really, that's why he doesn't really back this with any science. It's just like, well, if you think it's this, it's because that. And he can't really do it because he's really arguing for the same thing, just a different form, because both of these require high energy states, right?
High pressures, yes.
Yeah.
Every kind of liquid.
Right.
Non-gaseous liquid, fluid.
You're going to find hydrogen in every form that you can find hydrogen in the sun, is what you're going to find it. And I wouldn't be surprised if liquid metallic hydrogen is there. It seems that it would be present in the core of the sun, but he's arguing for it on the surface, and that's not.
Yeah, he's saying the surface is liquid. Like, he's basically saying it's an ocean of liquid metallic hydrogen.
Where is the pressure? Where is the pressure that's creating that? Like, because it requires this high pressure, and the way the sun works is it's a constant explosion and then gravity pulling it back in.
Yeah.
And so the pressure in the center, because of the gravity, would be the conditions to create liquid metallic hydrogen. But on the surface, you wouldn't get that, because that's the outer edge of where it's exploding and then being pulled back in. There's no pressure there. If anything, the pressure would be lower.
You could argue that the effective pressure from the higher gravity on the sun's surface versus what we feel here on Earth would duplicate the effective pressure, but I don't see it happening.
Well, it's balanced though on the surface. because
that's why the surface is there. I mean the pressure to get to metallic liquid hydrogen.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like you need something pushing in, not just pulling it down, but also pushing at it as well, is what you're saying.
Right.
Is that right, Amber? Am I understanding what you're saying?
Yeah, like in Jupiter, for example, the outer atmosphere is, like most things in the universe, mostly hydrogen and helium. And then when you get something like 20,000 kilometers down, there's a layer of molecular hydrogen. That layer continues to beyond 30,000 kilometers down, but around about 30,000 kilometers. I think it's 28,000, but I could be mistaken off the top of my head. The pressure has increased so much that it stops being gaseous molecular hydrogen and becomes liquid metallic hydrogen.
Yes.
Just because of the pressure.
That's from not just the gravity of the size of mass that Jupiter has, but also like when you go to the bottom of the ocean, there's more pressure than when you're just like a foot below, like, you
have the whole ocean on top of you.
Yeah, because you've got the weight of that on top of you as well. The same thing, like, and that's why we have the barometric pressure at sea level is different than the barometric pressure at the top of Everest versus what the flight of an airplane. And it keeps there's a gradation in all directions, and so like in this, and the core of our Earth experiences the same thing. So in a gas giant, there's also the same thing going on, Ember, is what you're saying, and then also that the same physics would apply as you head deeper into the sun, I believe, is what you're getting at here.
Well,
because it's two factors. It's the gravitational slope of the body you're on. Like Jupiter has more gravity than Earth because it's more massive.
Yes.
And also how much mass is above you. You multiply those two together to get your total pressure. Like if we took Earth's regular atmosphere and tried to experience that on Jupiter, we'd feel, depending on where on Jupiter, but let's say the outermost surface of the atmosphere, the boundary of the atmosphere, if you will, then it'd feel like 17 atmospheres or being 170 feet underwater.
Wow. Yeah. These are things that they're not necessarily going to be, for the average layperson, they're not going to be intuitive, because our intuition is to understand things as we experience them. And if you're not willing to understand that the universe isn't ubiquitously planet Earth, you may have to do a little bit of mind bending to understand it. But that's all I'm able to understand.
To simplify this, like in the center of a planet like Jupiter, for instance, when you get to the center of a planet, the pressure is greatest there because you have everything points to the center, right? Gravity pulls to the center of mass. So when you get to the center, that's
gravity
where the
and maximum pressure.
Right. Maximum pressure would be at the center. So that's why the metallic hydrogen is forming there. Now, if we ask the question, why is metallic hydrogen not on the surface of Jupiter? It's because it's not stable. There's not that stable pressure. In the center, all pressure is going to that center point. On the outside, you don't have that. You don't have that equilibrium. It's not. You just can't do it that way. So how big is the center, right? And you would have to argue that the center reaches all the way to the surface, what they're calling the surface anyway. And that's just, I mean, it's because if you dug a hole through planet Earth, right, all the way through the core to the other side, and you jumped in that hole, what do you think would happen? Eventually you would stop in the middle of the Earth. Yeah, I mean, you would be crushed first, burnt first.
There'd be a lot of things. You have to suspend a lot of physical interactions that you'd have. You'd have to hypothesize a situation where you were able to travel through this situation as an unaffected piece of matter yourself.
Yeah, right? You could. But the idea is once you settled, once you yo-yoed back and forth through the Earth, because that's what would happen. You would lose a little energy on each trip,
Yeah.
And eventually you would be centered in the middle of the earth, right?
Yeah, and you'd just be suspended there. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
There's a really great video, like a math video about how like ball bounces between two surfaces. Like if you have collisions, that there's how many collisions it takes before the thing settles. And I think I'm doing what Dr. Tapp calls grokking. I don't know if he stole that term from someone else, but when you grok something, you try to just sort of understand
from Heinlein. Stranger in a Strange Land.
Oh, okay, all right. So I should find that. I should find that out. So this grokking idea,
it's a fun book.
Like you try to like get your brain wrapped around it. Now, sadly, I have to stop the stream because I'm already 5 minutes longer than I said I was going to do. But I really appreciate that you were here. I appreciate that Stephanie was here. And I appreciate JJ and I can't remember all the people that came and went, but Azo dropped in for a bit and said hello in the chat, and so did AR, and I don't even know who. But thank you all for coming, and thank you if you're watching this in the future. Oh, Mark Caesar was here, may still be here, and Sumami. I'm just reading through to make sure I don't forget anybody. Anyway, it was great to have everybody here. And I'm gonna, if people enjoyed this, they can make a comment and let me know that you enjoyed it. And then yeah, JJ's telling me who else have I forgotten? Anyway, and JJ says this because basically magic. I mean, that's how a lot of shit seems, right? So anyway, I'm gonna head out. If people like this, they may also like, I did another white ball video earlier and uploaded it. I don't know when it's starting, but it's a pre-recorded one. So if you understood this conversation, you don't need to watch that video, but I'd appreciate the support anyway. If you didn't understand this conversation, then you should go watch that video because it goes through some very basic things about how stuff actually is, as opposed to how flirts think it might be. And I did a post about ranting about economics and the way things are fucked up, because if people keep making things more expensive and never give people the money to afford it, eventually they cut their own legs off at the knees because they no longer have any source of income, because we are the source of income. If we stop being consumers, who the fuck are you selling shit to?
Hyperinflation.
I don't know. We talked about that a little bit briefly earlier in the chat about the cost of groceries and shit, but I was going on about that from a more broad sense than just the concept of obesity. And if you know somebody who's living with obesity and who lives with a body affected by any type of disease or disorder, treat them with respect. They're a person. They're a person who needs respect, and not treating them with respect isn't making it easier for them to handle their disease.
No.
And that was what I started my whole stream with. And I know it's a boring topic, but it's kind of what I'm all about, is trying to make sure that people are treated with respect, no matter what their life situation is.
Well, even boring topics that you may think are boring, when you actually get into the details of things, can be quite interesting. I mean, and like that topic that you're talking about there, there's so many different avenues to discuss why it's that way, and why you shouldn't be embracing this obesity stigma that seems to be common. And even things that don't seem interesting are interesting to some people. Remember that.
Well,
that's true. And it's immensely interesting to me.
Yeah.
If you don't find a subject interesting, you don't understand it well enough.
Exactly.
So if you find a topic and you go, oh, that's boring, that's your clue. You should deep dive and learn more.
Yeah, because everything, just like diving into the center of the earth and experiencing that level of gravity would be a new thing you'd never thought of before. If you don't get that deep into it, you're not going to see how fucking crazy it is.
I encourage people, if they want a fun ride of not being able to understand and something that is still interesting, try quantum mechanics.
I will try that. I spent most of my workday yesterday when I wasn't busy with shit or trying to tune into a couple of live things. I was listening to Brian Greene explain special relativity.
Wonderful person to listen to. Yeah.
Yeah. So I enjoyed that. I'm going to keep doing that. I'm probably going to do it again. And I'm going to leave it at that because I've gone way over time. But I want to thank everyone for coming. Lick and describe, and also on my other video I said my mount here, we're gonna name my mount. So you may have noticed I've switched to riding a horse in my avatar. So this horse needs a name, and I've decided that it doesn't have a gender because as far as I can tell it's not shown in such a way as to give anything away.
You need to Photoshop that.
Well, if somebody picks a gender that needs a photoshopping, maybe I'll throw that in there. Although YouTube would probably throw me out. I don't fucking know. But yeah, it's animal parts. People want to name the horse.
You have to ride across the desert while it still has no name.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there is a desert here. Maybe there's a food desert as we talked about before. Oh Jesus! Somebody's phoning me. Well, I'm quitting this anyway. So thanks, guys.
Later, guys.
Here we go. I'll press this button.
Laters.
Goodbye.